Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Donald, the security consultant, coming back at you with another video. This video here is really dealing with your inner security. You know, we've all seen situations where rappers or celebrities or aspiring artists have all been the victim of people in their inner circle, either taking money from them, committing some type of crime toward them, up to and including the killing of them. So I wanted to discuss today really about your inner security. You know, being a celebrity, being a rapper, or just being an everyday, ordinary person, you know, how many times do you do your own security assessment of yourself? You know, how many times do you take a look at, if you run a business, how many times do you take a look at your business and do an just do an analysis of your business security? Do you have home security? Do you have a ring alarm? You know, do you have CCTV in your home? Do you have anything that can enhance your security? And if you are a person that has executive protection or bodyguards or whatever the case may be in your inner circle, how many times do you do background checks? Even on security, how many times do you check to make sure that the security that you have in your inner circle is obviously, make sure that the integrity is still there? How many times do you check the personal backgrounds of those in your inner circle, family, friends, roadies, if you're a celebrity? The reason I bring this up, because this video is really touching on the killing of that tech CEO in New York, Fahim Salah, who was allegedly killed by his personal assistant. Now, keep in mind, you know, there are a lot of facts. We will never know the facts. Obviously, Mr. Salah is now deceased, but the fact that we had a millionaire, a 33-year-old millionaire, who had a 21-year-old who was his personal assistant. During the course of him working for Mr. Salah, the offender allegedly stole over $100,000 from Mr. Salah. Mr. Salah obviously saw the theft, or obviously he picked up on the theft, and he worked some type of deal out with the offender, the alleged offender, about repayment of the money. And unfortunately, that obviously didn't work out, because it went into a sense of revenge, to where Mr. Salah was found brutally murdered in New York in his condo. So what I would like to do is just read a little excerpt from it. And I'm only reading it because I really want us, or you, to really have a better understanding of, do you really know who's in your inner circle? When you terminate employees, do they have access to you? Do they still have any access to any part of your business? If you were the victim of an employee stealing from you, what would be your way of handling that? I suggest to my clients that they should always report to the authorities. Let the authorities handle it. If you want to file litigation against the former employee or current employee who you saw has stolen from you, I suggest you do that. And then that way you're covering all your bases. And obviously, if you have insurance, insurance can get involved. But at the end of the day, you're reporting it, which is obviously creates a cushion of safety from you, the alleged offender, family, friends, or business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this excerpt of what happened. So the personal assistant of dismembered tech CEO Fahim Salah, he was obviously arrested not too long after the alleged killing. So I'm going to read, not too long, but I'm just going to do a touch. It said, early this week, tech entrepreneur Fahim Salah made headlines after his dismembered body was found at his luxury Manhattan condo. In a shocking turn of events, authorities have now arrested his personal assistant in connection with the gruesome crime. So once again, we're going to stop right there. We're going to use that word personal assistant. Now, we all know that it's easy if you are a celebrity or if you are a high-end person or just a well-known person, people are going to come up to you. People are going to try to befriend you. You could be having a get-together at a social, and people are always going to try to get in your inner circle. At the end of the day, do you have security to keep people out of your personal bubble? Now, this video is not an attempt to, tell you that you need security every step of the way. I'm not saying that. But I'm also telling you that sometimes you need security to keep people out of your inner circle. When you get to a certain level of notoriety, celebrity, making money, whatever, yes, the need for security begins to really elevate, because money will make enemies out of friends overnight. So I'm going to continue to read. They said the surveillance cameras in Salah's apartment showed a masked man in a black three-piece suit getting on Salah's private elevator. In a struggle before the doors closed, police say his last name is Haspel, that's the alleged offender, first tased Salah, then stabbed him in the neck, killing him. So we're going to stop right there. Let's talk about the area where he talked about, the apartment building, show a masked man in a black suit. So let's stop right there. I did a video recently about situational awareness. You should always know what's going on around you at all times. Why? Because once again, what if you have to give a description of something? What if you are the victim of a crime, and because you wasn't paying attention, because you had your earphones on, or you are having troubles at home, or whatever's going on in your personal life, you didn't see what was around you, and now you become a victim of what you didn't even know because you didn't see it. So now you can't even give an account, a clothing description, or anything, let alone have an idea that the person next to you may be the person that's meant to harm you. So we're going to move on and talk about the area of the money. They said basically after the $100,000 was discovered, that the entrepreneur, who was Mr. Salah, apparently has shown mercy on his employee and opted to set up a payment plan for him to repay the money instead of reporting him to authorities. Stop right there. Once again, I tell my clients that once again, if that is ever discovered, you want to go to the authorities right away. You want to make sure that you have the evidence showing theft, unfortunately, even if it's something minor. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody wants to go to prison. Statistics have shown, even myself dealing with shoplifters have become one of the most dangerous people to deal with, because even though it may be a minor charge, a shoplifter will stab you. A shoplifter will hurt you because, once again, they don't want to go to jail. So if you look at this case, $100,000, do you honestly think that the alleged offender, wanted to go to jail? So I tell my clients and I tell people every day to cover yourself. If you recognize theft, let's say you own a business and you have a theft at your business. Obviously, if you are serious about security and inventory, you will have CCTV. If you have a big business, you will have loss prevention, or you just will have things in place to make sure that your shrink level is low. And if you see an employee, a cashier, or whatever stealing from you, then obviously you can have ironclad evidence to be able to prosecute. And that way you're covering yourself, your business, family, things of that nature. In this case, Mr. Salah decided that he had a good heart and that he would try to work with the alleged offender, once again, at the amount of $100,000, which unfortunately cost Mr. Salah his life. So when I continue to read, They said the detectives began looking into the alleged offender as a person of interest after they found text messages between the two men in which Salah, which is the victim, unfortunately, accused Mr. Haspel, which is the alleged offender, of stealing the money. They said that police sources also said that the alleged offender had been using his employer's credit card after the murder to purchase a power saw and cleaning products at Home Depot. The card was also used to travel to and from the crime scene. So, once again, the purpose of this video today, and the purpose of all my YouTube videos really, is just not to have a long conversation about nothing. I want these YouTube videos to be utilized as ways for you to enhance your own security and the security of you and your family, and your business. In this case, Mr. Salah wanted to work with the alleged offender who stole money from him. This is a successful millionaire, 33 years old, who started his own tech company and was living in a $2.2 million apartment in New York City. But as I have said on my blogs, which are all over WordPress.com, as I've said on my podcast, which is on Anchor FM, you have to put yourself in a situation that you have to make sure you check anybody and everybody that wants to come into your inner circle. You have to make sure you do a proper vetting process that will keep you safe. And you have to have safeguards in place if that employee does not work out, that employee does not have access to you, your family, and safeguards are in place to make sure that if you own property or a business, is to make sure that they're safe. The last point on this one is to make sure that if you are in a situation where you suspect your employees or somebody that's in your inner circle has stolen from you, you have to have safeguards in place to make sure that there's evidence, that there's documentation, hopefully there's documentation such as, once again, forged checks, credit cards that's been used that was unauthorized, or any type of admission by the person that may have stolen from you. You want to make sure you get all this, because at the end of the day, when you go before a judge, all this will make the situation look a lot better, which will once again either put this person away for a long time, or at least will leave a record on this person to make sure that it doesn't happen to anybody else, or this person doesn't try to intercept in anybody else's inner circle. So once again, this video was done today, not on the killing. It was very sad to know, and I'm pretty sure you saw the article on how Mr. Salah was killed. Not only was he killed, but his body parts were unfortunately just very tragic. They were sliced off, and he was also decapitated. Obviously, it wasn't a well thought out plan, because what people need to know is that homicide or killings are usually done with emotion and a passion. If somebody's afraid and they don't want to go to jail, or they don't want to suffer the consequences for what they've done, sometimes the heat of passion takes over. That's why, unfortunately, a lot of domestic violence situations always end up either with the victim being killed or the responding officers to the domestic being killed, because once again, you get into a heat of passion, you're not thinking, or you're thinking, I don't want to go to jail, and this is the end result. So I say to you to once again, always have safeguards in place to make sure that you are always knowing who's in your inner security, and that you're doing the proper checks. On my next podcast on Anchor, I will be talking about different type of background checks that you can check on your inner circle, and one of those will be financial history checks. You want to make sure that those that are around you, doesn't have a history of financial mismanagement. You want to make sure that they don't have a history of bankruptcy. Now, we already know it's 2020. We already know that the economy is terrible. We know that people are going to file bankruptcy. You have the biggest corporations out here that have filed bankruptcy. So bankruptcy, that's on a case-by-case basis, because once again, everybody out here is hurting. But at the end of the day, if there's a history of financial mismanagement, if there's a history of the person who's trying or has already got themselves into your inner circle, whether they are security too, once again, anybody will try to sell you a service. In this day and time, everybody's trying to sell security. Everybody wants to do bodyguard and security, and that's great. Once again, I believe in security. That is part of what I do. But at the end of the day, I focus on the security consulting part of it. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're safe, up to including financials on everybody, seeing if there's a history of financial mismanagement, and also checking to make sure that this person who wants to come into your inner circle does not have a huge debt load, because once again, even trucking companies, simple jobs now do credit checks because they want to make sure that you're not going to become a financial liability as well as any other liability. And I want to make sure that you don't become a victim, or I don't just want to make sure that you or your family, your business does not make the news, because I want to make sure that you're staying safe. I want to make sure you're staying proactive. I want to make sure that you're doing everything that you got to do to keep you, your family, and your business safe. Once again, this is Donald, the security consultant, and I look forward to talking to you later. Thank you.